What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York, calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we are here with Olof of the Almighty Enforcer. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, so Live by Fire 2 is scheduled to come out very soon. Was the intention of this, was this something you were always planning to do? Were you always planning to make, a Live by Fire, like, live album series? Or was this maybe just like a spur-of-the-moment thing, maybe to kind of, like, hold people over while we eagerly await for concerts to return?
No, that was totally the intention to record this as a live show. When we did this, we had obviously no idea that would happen in the future. So we made this happen pretty much because we felt that our previous live album was like starting to become old and perhaps not so relevant to what we are right now. So this was a golden opportunity for us to get relevant things to like live material to show for the fans. And especially the video side of it, so that we have like relevant video, up-to-date material online.
Yeah, and because I know that when you released Live by Fire 1, I mean, the latest album at the time was From Beyond, so with this we could hear some stuff off of Zenith, and that is live and stuff, right?
Yeah, actually the Live by Fire 1 is recorded in February 2013, so that was recorded like at the time that Death by Fire came out, so there were no From Beyond songs off of that. It was released slightly after From Beyond release, so it was like a little mismatch there. So this new release, Live by Fire, is like focusing on songs off of From Beyond and Zenith, those two albums mostly, but we also have a lot of old songs like stuffed in there. So.
Yeah, and could this also be being now that Zenith, the latest new album, is hitting the 2-year-old mark this year? Is this also maybe to kind of like hold fans over while we eagerly await for a follow-up to Zenith?
No, I mean, if I wanted to release this already a year ago, but there's so much practical details that has to be worked out before you can actually do a release. So it has to like. All the stars has to align, and you got to have your label's confidence, and it has to work with the label's release date and everything. But everything was more or less done a year ago, so we've just been waiting since that. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy to finally get this like recording out to the people.
Yeah. When it comes to live albums, I always like to ask this because I feel like live albums are always really, really important. Obviously, it's not, the same thing as seeing a band play live, but like, having this live album, it is to capture that, live energy and all that. So is there a specific reason why with a live album, I always ask artists promoting live albums this, like that you pick a specific gig to make the live album based off of this?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think that our songs are, when you record the album versions of the songs, you're kind of writing them at the same time. You're not necessarily, and you're so much focused on playing right, so that you're not necessarily, putting so much character in it. But then when you've been playing these songs live for a couple of hundred times, you know them so much more by heart that you can put a lot of more character into the songs. Therefore, I think that these songs are better in a live version because how we characterize the songs when we play them live, but also to have like the entire audience on such a wonderful audience like in Mexico City in this case, really like lifts the songs to the next level.
Yeah. Definitely. And, as somebody who has seen you live play on a couple of occasions, most recently was on the tour that you did with Warbringer a couple of years ago, which was a great show, small venue, everybody's sweating. That was a fun show of power. It's fair to say, like, you guys tend to gravitate more towards playing live, right, than mainly songwriting, recording. You seem to like, is there maybe like a similar energy, I should ask, between playing live and songwriting?
I think I enjoy both sides of it, but I mean, you can't play live without having proper songs to play. So it's like it always starts with the songwriting, and then the songs like grow as you go.
Yeah,
When you
absolutely.
first come up with an album, nobody really recognizes it, but it grows on people, and after some time, you can see and feel that with the audience that they really like recognize what you do, and the songs also grows with the feedback that you get from the crowds also.
Yeah. And when it comes to like the live energy, because you also play with like a variety of style of bands between like old school thrash metal bands like Destruction to like a new school thrash band like Warbringer. Like I'd imagine you played to multiple audiences as well, right?
Yeah, but after all, I mean, after all, it's the audience are pretty similar when it comes to like metal, especially in the United States. I feel that in the United States you have like a very general metal audience that goes out to shows compared to when you play in Germany, for example. Then there's like this very specific type of audience that goes out to shows. You play if you're out if you're Destruction, let's say, to those thrash shows. It comes more or less only thrash people who are there to see, only thrash people who live their lives according to the set of rules, of thrash. And when you go to another band, it comes, there's so specific audiences in Europe that I don't quite feel that you have in the United States as much, if you know what I mean.
Really, I've always thought it was the opposite.
Yeah.
I've always thought it was the opposite. Like, because like I've been to like deathcore shows and death metal shows and black metal shows, and like
That type of things is just a different universe here in Europe. I mean, I don't even know anyone who's into deathcore. I don't even know what it is myself now.
yeah, but like I've always seen like if I'm going to like a Creator show or an Enforcer show
Yeah.
or a Havoc show or even like a Megadeth show, I'm always expecting to see like
Yeah.
similar people there. But when I go to like a death metal show, I'm always expecting to see a different type of people there. But that's really interesting. I didn't know that that was kind of prevalent in Europe too. I thought like they're playing like Children of Bodom on daytime radio in Sweden.
Uh, we have rock channels, radio channels,
Oh really?
but yeah.
Yeah.
So they actually do. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to like though the songwriting process, like being that like with Enforcer, I feel like if you were to like play me like 30 seconds of a song, I'd be able to tell what will be off of From Beyond or Zenith or Into the Night or Diamonds or something like that. Do you always take a new approach to every single album that you've written, or is there kind of like a formula that Enforcer tries to stick with?
No, I definitely. I think it's very important to give each and every album like a unique character. So yeah, so that's always been very important, I think. And I think that even though, at least in my mind, you can. I think that we put a very specific touch to the music. Everything that I would like to think that everything that we do is like Enforcer music, but that all the albums have different characters. Oh, this album is that, has this little bit of this character, and this album has a little bit more of that character. So, I think so. Even though the songs perhaps could have a similar character in between the albums also. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you ever start off the songwriting process with maybe like a preconceived idea? Or is there like improvising that's involved?
Always. I have a very strict idea of what the entirety of the song should be like before I start. I want a song that sounds like this, and I have this riff and this like song title in the back of my head, and I'm gonna do something that goes there.
Yeah.
Or you hear it in your head, and then everything's like you just like you work on it until what you hear from the speakers is exactly matching with what you have in your head.
Is that sometimes dangerous? I heard like a couple of artists say sometimes that like when they go into something with like a goal or like a that sometimes they can usually end up like disappointed if it doesn't end up sounding that way, or is that not even a fear?
Yeah, I can totally relate to that, but more in the beginning of our career, when it felt like, let's say when I was 20 years old and wrote songs, if I because I didn't know like the craft of writing songs as well as I do now. So then it was more like, if a song turned out good, it was more a lucky chance. Then it was like, now I know like how to make riffs stand out in a more like an objective musical way, that I can work on something until it sounds and it feels the way that I intended to be,
Mm-hmm. And being that you are such a prolific artist, because like with aside from Enforcer, I know you've also played with like Corrupted, and you've played with Oppression and Leprosy and other bands. Like, is there maybe like a different like mind frame depending on the project that you've played with, or is there a usual art or method behind the madness that applies to everything?
I think it's been the same. Just like but all these bands that you mentioned, I was more or less just like a teenager being into these bands. So it was a different time for sure, and I've learned a lot of things along the way. But for me, it's like similar. It's just like a slight difference of style that differs. And I think also with those in the very beginning of my songwriting career, for example, when I was playing in these bands that you mentioned, or like in a very early stage of Enforcer, I was so much more concerned about playing a certain style over writing good songs. Now, I think that a good song is always a good song, no matter the style, and like having a good song is more fundamental than playing a song in a certain style. You see the difference?
Yeah, I think there is a good song is a good song. To me, like I was having a discussion with a musician about this thing, all these genres and all this. There's only good music and there's bad music, and what you should be focused on is making a good song.
If you just look at it like objectively.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there ever a time where maybe like an Enforcer's music, like a vocal concept or maybe a story, could influence the outcome of the music in itself, or has there always needed to be music before lyrics would sort of come into place?
I think it's firstly about music, but then you can then you can play around with the lyrics to either act like usually to amplify the vibe, that you have from the music. If you have a song, if you have a more moody kind of song, and you write lyrics that are kind of like moody and sad, then you amplify that vibe from the music, and that's also how you can work with that kind of thing. Because eventually music is like mediating a feeling or emotion to whoever's listening to it.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like listening to Death by Fire, and like a song like Bells of Hades versus like a song like Crystal Suit or Sacrifice or even Satan. They always had like different vibes or different like forms of energy flowed into it. So do you almost feel like maybe like every song is like a representation of what you were feeling at that time in a way? Like starting off with Bells of Hades with that introduction to going into Death Rides This Night. Like, do you try to make a standpoint of what you were particularly feeling?
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I don't know what actually came first, but there was so much things like. I feel that album in particular was like so much of a puzzle. We had very few. We had a few songs, and then like all this, the intro, the out, everything like was just puzzling on top of it. And I think turned out really great.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with the first couple of songs from that album. It really, really captures what we were at this specific time.
Yeah, but before we go, I just want to thank you so much for your time today. It was great. I've been trying to get Enforcer on here for a long time, so thank you for...
Oh, that's great. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Is there just anything else with Enforcer that you would like to promote with the release of Live by Fire 2? Maybe like a live stream performance to hold the fans over, or new merch, or anything else you'd like to plug?
I think we will we will do a YouTube premiere of the entire film show at the release date. And we will also do a live stream where my brother and I are talking about each songs, like from beginning to the end, and how like tell stories and tell everything, like what was behind every song of the entire album and what we felt at that point. So it's going to be pretty interesting, I think, like live broadcast that we would do in connection with this YouTube premiere. And we will also release a new merch collection very soon. But follow us on Instagram and on Facebook, and you will see what's cooking in the band camp.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Olof of Enforcer, Live by Fire 2, coming out very soon via Nuclear Blast. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.